All right, good evening. It is February 3rd, 2021. Here's what we are looking at for the day. It was a range day, but you had to play the small term or short term trends. We had this downward channel to start the day, and some congestion up here and some congestion down here, and we had this big leg down, and then pretty much for the rest of the day prices were trending up until we had this leg down until 12 o'clock, and then price came down to this level. It looks like they might have bounced off of this price level. But let's look at my live trades. I got hammered on the live trades. Let's look at why. Took three. Only one of them worked, but the two I took were high risk. So let's take a look. I really thought I had an excellent entry right here. I drew my trend line wrong, or no, I had my trend line right, but I drew this range, and I thought the range would take precedence. So what I did was I treated this as a failure. So as soon as I saw this tick higher, put my stop beneath this bar. And look at how great of a signal bar you get. Well, it's a 4-tick failure, so it bounced off my target and came back up and stopped me out. And I think the reason is maybe because of this trend line drawn off this high and this high. Maybe that's where it bounced. However, I should have been playing this trend line. I guess maybe I didn't see that, or I only saw that later. Had I just waited, I would have gotten a great entry right there. But anyway, prices come down, and I'm thinking the range is going to take precedence again. So I take this signal bar. But really, I should have waited again, because you get a good entry right here after a breakout. I treated this like a breakout, and it's not. So both entries are going into a midline. This is right after the midline, and this is going into the midline of this range. But then once I figured out that this trend line was in play, I took this as my signal bar, which is a good entry. It's actually a second entry short, and trapped longs further up here. Maybe the longs thought that we were gonna tick lower and trap shorts and go higher, but that's not what happened. And I went short here, and unfortunately, I only hit my first target. Even though if I let it go, I would have hit all 3 targets. But anyway, it's a learning process. Don't get too eager early in the morning. So let's take a look. This looks like a really good trading day, which makes it more frustrating that I took all my trades early in the morning, because this looks relatively easy to trade, at least in the analysis. I don't know if live it was harder to analyze. So we get that same trend line that we saw in the MES, and we have this congestion at the beginning, or at the beginning of the morning, that actually comes into play a little later too. But anyway, you get this first entry, second entry short. It's also a lower high, and it's back into congestion. So that's why I like it. Very big bearish bar, and there's plenty of room for a scalp in there. And prices come back down here, breakout with trend. So this is counter trend as well, counter trend breakout. Prices break out with trend. This is a very nice trap right here. Let's see, first entry. Oh, that's like a second entry as well. Well, this would be the second entry, but so I guess you could treat that as a second entry right here, especially after I see that. However, it is a with trend breakout. But anyway, it trapped some shorts right here and comes back up. Then this is your confirmation of the trend line. the third touch. I'm not sure if I would personally have the guts to enter on this bar because it's too neutral, but it is perfectly off the trend line. And even if you take it off this signal bar, you still get a scalp out of that. So this shows us that this range is losing its ability to hold prices, comes down. We get a break or an overshoot of this channel. Oh wow, they trapped some longs right here, that's for sure. But I guess the buying power was too strong down here, because it didn't really affect the prices, a lot. Like if they trapped a lot of longs, prices would have shot down even more. But only a few people must have been trapped, and you might even go long above this because that looks like a double test. Some price acceptance, rockets up. So a bunch of shorts trapped. That's why it rocketed up. Bounces off this trend line. Unfortunately, this isn't the high of the swing, or else you might go short there. I mean, if you go short on this, that's just a high risk bar, big bar. Prices break out into this congestion. This might show us that, yeah, this trend line is losing power, ability to hold price strength. I don't see any entries in here. I don't think I looked at this or this. I think I probably just wouldn't know where to draw this congestion at this point. And this is a second entry short, so I should at least second entry short back into congestion, but it's not off the trend line. So that's why I don't really like that. How about this one? This one's off the trend line, and it's like a breakout pullback off of this price level. But it's a first entry. So it is a counter trend breakout though. So I don't know, you might look at that one. Guess some shorts got trapped here because it rockets up. Comes back into this original area of congestion. Bounces around a little more. You get a failed second entry long here. And if you have a trend line drawn off these highs, you can take it. And that's why I marked it. So it is a failed second entry long, first entry, second entry. It turns out to be off of this larger green channel, but you wouldn't have had that. That's why I marked it aggressive. Plus the bar is pretty neutral. So we start moving down. And here I marked this because, it's off the EMA and the trend line. But it's it's actually a failed second entry long. But you don't get a signal bar, and it's not the high of the swing. But it is a failed second entry long off this level. First entry, second entry, but you just don't get the signal bar. And then you get off this level, first entry, second entry, off the trend line and the EMA, you just don't get a good signal bar. And that's why I marked it as aggressive. And then we come down here and you get both a second entry short and a failed second entry long, first entry, second entry, off the trend line and the EMA. Although this is at the overnight lows, which is marked by the gold channel, if you will, when all those things are stacking in your favor, you should be able to get a scalp. That's why I marked this, and it's an engulfing bar. Okay, so prices break the channel, it's overnight lows, so this is kind of showing us that we're getting a range day. And if you want to be aggressive, you take this big bullish bar off the overnight lows, closes, it's an engulfing bar, it closes above the EMA. It's aggressive because it's first, second, third entry, failed third entry short, and it's only a first entry long, and it's a high risk bar, but it just looks with that, it's like a pullback off the overnight lows. I just like those entries. Okay, so we go up into this congestion, and that makes me think twice about some of these. However, this wouldn't be your confirmation. You don't really know at this point. But this, I would say this is probably confirmation, but that at that point you're going into the highs of that range. You might take this short here, far from the EMA. Prices are clearly ranging at that point. But I don't know. I don't know if you should enter on any of this. No perfect setups. Then prices, so it's kind of like a counter trend breakdown here, which rockets them up, and then they come back in, go back out. You get a breakout. Okay, so look at all these things I have right here. Okay, this is a second entry long. It's a breakout of congestion, pull back with trend, and it's off the EMA and the top of that price level. That's why I'm marking this as blue and not aggressive. All those things are stacking in your favor. And then we form some congestion up here, and price just bouncing around, bounce off the EMA a little, come back in, and come back. So you have a counter trend break. It's a second entry long, first entry, second entry long, off the trend line, and it's low risk. Look at how low risk that is. Let's see. What is this, a 1.5? So this is probably like 5 tick risk. So take that every single time. When you have all these things stacking in your favor and it's that low risk, take that. So prices do break out. You would have gotten a nice move off that. And you get well, this is a matching high, so you get a first entry, second entry long off the EMA. It's also a breakout pullback I'm seeing now. I didn't think about that. But I marked it as aggressive just because it's not at the trend line. And compared to this one, this is a... Oh, you know what? So I'm going to upgrade this because this is also breakout pullback. Yeah. So let's... Prices are just responding to the EMA here. You get this higher low, but I mean, that's like into the top. There's like some congestion here, and there's like a price level you'd be going long into. Price responding to the EMA, but first entry, second entry short. When it pulls back to the EMA, that's just the first entry. But I mean, at this point, you might think this is a runaway trend and go long there, and it would have worked out. So towards right at 12 o'clock, we get confirmation of this downward channel, and you get a failed second entry long off the EMA and the trend line. So that's okay. And I didn't even see this, but it's also off the old trend line too. So you know some trap longs are there. Yeah, people definitely went long above that, especially that looks like a double test. And that's at 12 o'clock, so that's when you stop trading. 12 o'clock Pacific time. And here's one more look at it. And hopefully I'll be back for another video tomorrow.